what do you think of the courtroom activity up in Chicago now that they've
I think
broken for the weekend?
Yeah, I think we're all anxious to turn a page and close the chapter of this part of Illinois' history. I certainly respect the jury for trying to do the right thing and do it the right way. I'm sure they're as anxious as we are.
You think he's guilty?
I think the evidence was pretty clear that as presented in the case, but I'll leave that up to the jury to make that decision. They were there every day.
Is this stretching it out helping your campaign?
Pardon me?
Is this stretching out of this case? I mean, it seemed like it was going pretty early. Now it seems as if the jury's
frankly,
taking
we look at it as a distraction. We want to focus on the real issues about this campaign, how we can bring jobs. You know, this week we received 2 endorsements, the National Federation of Independent Businesses, as well as yesterday the Illinois Chamber of Commerce. I don't think there's anything more important on the people's minds that Jason and I travel around and talk to than the job climate in Illinois. For having 2 of the top job organizations in the state endorse our campaign speaks volumes about what the people want and what can be done in the state.
Governor Quinn last week announced another $900 million in budget cuts. Brings the total he's announced to $1.4 billion. Have you had a chance to look at those? Do you have any thoughts on whether his priorities are right or wrong?
Well, you know, the fact of the details of Governor Quinn's budget cuts are still a little hard to ascertain. There's absolutely no transparency. We don't know who he owes $4 or $5 billion to. He talks a good game sometimes, but the fact of the matter is that the details are what needs to be seen. We haven't been able to see those, and we're not sure that Governor Quinn is sincere about this when he's turning around and giving pay raises. Just recently, as you saw reported, the second round of pay raises was secretly put in place, now released. The people of Illinois aren't going to stand for this. And the hypocrisy of talking about cutting and then giving pay raises out under the cloak of secrecy is something I don't think the people are going to stand for.
Well, he's left himself open on this. With the caveat that there are still more details to come, do you agree with the general categories of his cuts of $500 million from this agency, $200 million from that agency?
Well, what is hard for us to tell is there's no transparency. The first thing we'll do is we will sanction an audit working with the Auditor General to find out where the money's being spent. One of the hardest things with this administration under this cloak of secrecy is to know where they're spending money. Last year, Governor Quinn was given a $3 billion lump sum payment to do things. We still don't know where those resources were put. So it's very hard under this cloak of secrecy to evaluate what he's done.
Did you support the money from Washington that came in through the federal action a couple of days ago? The $400 for education, the $500 for
Medicaid.
Yeah, you know, these are just typical Washington games, digging a deeper hole. I mean, I don't know where they're going to get the money.
But it helps Illinois.
Well, it helps every state, but to have the resources, but it just avoids the inevitable. At the end of the day, we have to learn to live within our means, and we cannot ask the federal government to continue to bail us out because next year there's a cliff now. We need to make some serious decisions and deconstruct and reconstruct. So where this looks like an election year bailout, it's not going to help us solve the permanent problems.
So Kirk was right to vote against it.
He was.
There's been some governors saying they may not want to accept it. If you were governor, would you take the money?
Well, you know, we in the state of Illinois need to receive the same benefit. Our citizens deserve the same benefit. So yes, we would accept it, but it doesn't solve the problems. The problems are not going to go away if they continue to print money like it's going to be there forever. It's not. This is the same budget cliff we faced this year because we became addicted to the stimulus money. Now Governor Quinn's addicted to these resources, failing to zero in on the systemic budgetary spending problems that we have.